This can be your game.
All right, here we are, Raider Nation. Welcome to the very first well, I guess technically the second edition of the Raiders Retort. That's right, it's time to get retorted with your hosts. I am Murph, and my co-host, of course, riding shotgun, always in the Dago Dungeon, talking about our beloved Oakland Raiders, Sonny. Sonny, how you doing tonight?
I don't know, Murph. You know that show Gladiator with Russell Crowe? And in there he has that line, he says, "Are you not entertained?" Like, I'm not entertained right now. As a Raiders fan, I am not entertained with the NFL. I am not entertained as a Raiders fan. And so I don't like the way I feel right now, Murph. I feel weird.
Well, you feel weird, and you look a little bit weird too. You're kind of no, I don't mean it like that. I mean like your camera shot's kind of stuck, and you're a little garbled. But I don't know. Maybe it'll fix itself. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Hopefully it's coming through okay though. This is our first venture doing this split screen here on our Facebook Live here, and not riding shotgun next to each other in the car. So bear with us if we are having any technical difficulties out there. Yeah, thank you for joining us here on the Raiders Retort. Sonny, I'm with you, man. It's a funky time, right? Like, we were all so excited about this Raiders football team, and now here we have been left flat yet once again. You know, we kind of explained away the flatness of the Washington game, but man, going in, playing the absolute hated Denver Broncos, the defense only gives up 16 points on the road. We got this crazy high-powered offense, right? No one's going to be able to keep up with us, right? We can win any shootout in the NFL, right? No, actually we can't, and we suck. How's that? I'm drowning myself in. I've been drowning myself in pork rinds and Pellegrino all day long too. So not only do I thank you, Oakland Raiders, but my stomach thanks you very much. It's probably a good thing you're not here in the room with me. I'm sure it smells lovely.
It's just an interesting take, Murphy, because the Raiders were within one score of the game late in the fourth quarter. We had a chance to win. We were within striking distance for relatively most of the game. But it just looked like the Raiders were flatlined when they took the field. Carr to Holton had the one glory moment of the game. Essentially, was that Dave Casper-like catch by Holton, that Willie Mays type catch by Holton for the 64-yard touchdown
pass.
That
was beautiful.
That was beautiful, right? The defense played good. The defense kept us in the game, but they should against a Trevor Siemian-led offense. What I'm more surprised about is Marshawn Lynch. On the previous podcast, episode 48, the Lionel Washington episode, I stated Marshawn Lynch had to make his presence known in this game for us to win it. Now, don't get me wrong, Denver has an incredible run defense. However, Marshawn Lynch needed to do more, and he did it, and I think that's a big reason why we lost, Murph.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the funny nicknames coming out, right? Like least mode, or you know what I mean? Like all these nicknames going out about Marshawn. But I don't know if it's him entirely, or if it's him and the offensive line, or a combination of both. All I know is that burst that we saw the first couple weeks of the season when you and I saw him live in Tennessee, and obviously it was there against the Jets when, which led to all this, all the dancing and the celebration on the sideline. Now it's gone. It's completely gone, and so that's concerning, right? Like, you never want to see your team regress, and especially you don't ever want to see your team regress like that. Like, they regressed so fast. Like, I mean, it looked like all things were clicking, everything was on point, everything that we expected this team to do in the 2017 season, they did in weeks 1 and week 2, and then we just fell off a cliff. Like, all of a sudden now it's 2010 again, and I'm like, what the heck? And we're just left standing here going, what happened, Raiders? I mean, Carr looks frustrated at best. He looks confused. It's just, I don't know, man. It's a really, really strange thing. And, considering the expectations that we had coming into this season, to be left now with this type of performance again back to back, what do we do with ourselves with Raider Nation? I'm pissed. I don't know about you, but I'm mad. And I think that we as Raider Nation, we should be mad. We should be pissed. But what do you do about it? I mean, like, I mean, it just feels like there's so many things to address. Like, it's not like one thing. Like last year, we could be like, oh, the secondary struggled, or Carr got hurt, or like it was like one or two different things that we could point at. Man, there's like 6 things that we could point at now, and that's like just to get started. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if we should throw in the panic button just yet. I don't know if it's quite the 2010 season all over again. I don't know what. And I think that's the biggest issue is that prior to the start of the season, the Raiders were like, de facto favorites to knock off the Patriots. They were Super Bowl contenders. They were the number one most betted team in Vegas to win the whole thing. And that's, I think, the biggest issue is now we have to ask ourselves the question, who are these Oakland Raiders? They don't have an identity at this point. We beat the Titans, but maybe that win wasn't as great as we thought it was, considering they got slumped today by the Houston Texans. Then we beat the Jets, and we all know, okay, you beat the Jets. Congratulations. They're the Jets. You should beat the Jets. Then we got absolutely trumped by the Redskins. Lowest amount of offensive yards, I believe, in 3 years by any NFL. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Second lowest amount of yards on offense by any team in the last 3 years. This is supposed to be the most high-powered offense in the whole entire league. And we just had the second least amount of yards by any team in the last 3 years. On top of that, this season, of any team the first 3 weeks, we had the least amount of yards against the Redskins. Follow that up with a pretty dismal performance in Denver. Now, granted, a coach, players, all of them, they'll always say there's no such thing as a bad win, there's no such thing as an ugly win, there's no such thing as a shameful win, all that kind of stuff. And if we would have won the game, we would have been hyped that we beat Denver. But the questions still remain. Our man Chuck McCann on Facebook, he made a post that says, Derek Carr looks different this year. He doesn't look the same, at least over the last 2 weeks. He has a history of not being able to play well against teams who are frankly in the higher end of the league. His record against 500 his record against teams with a 500 or better win-loss ratio isn't very good. And so we have to start asking now, is Derek Carr not going mental, but is there too much going on upstairs with Derek on plays that he's not making the plays he need to make, or is he making bad reads, or is he getting sacked too much, or whatever the case? Now, granted, against Denver, against their vaunted defense, and they have a great defense, he didn't do that bad. I believe he was 10 for 18 for a $143 and a touchdown with a 100 quarterback rating. But that said, take away that 64-yarder, and then he's 9 for 17 with 88 yards or something like that, right? So less than 10 yards per pass attempt. All that said, the Raiders don't have an identity right now. They're 2-2. They started out the year with 3 of the 4 games on the road. They come away with a 500 record through the first 4 games. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's a pretty big drop-off from where we thought this team was supposed to be during the preseason.
Absolutely. And what do you think, Sonny, about, talk to me a little bit about the coaching. Talk to me a little bit about Jack Del Rio. I'm having trouble with your video feed. I'm going to try to get you back up here. Talk to me about your what you think about, we saw Todd Downing going nuts, running down the sideline, getting all excited on that one touchdown, which was great. But has there been a lack of really creativity in this offense? You look at players like, Jameis Olawale, and, feel like there's like a lot of opportunities missed offensively for what the Raiders should be able to do. We talked for endless hours about the options that the Raiders have, the endless amount of weapons that this team has available to them. And here we are, just seemingly kind of one-dimensional. And then the one dimensions that we do have, like Amari Cooper, freaking can't keep his hands on the ball. Like, what has he got? He's got 12 catches and 7 drops this year. So anyway, talk to me a little bit about the coaching, and talk to me a little bit about maybe what we can do. Look, we got a weak defense coming up in Baltimore next week. We've got to get on track, and can we get back on track against them?
I think one of the problems is you have a 4th and 1 on, I think it was around the 33-yard line of Denver, and we chose to go for it. Everybody in the whole entire stadium knew Marshawn Lynch was going to run the ball, and he got stopped. I believe he lost a yard in the play, so it wasn't even close. The Raiders were supposed to be better than everybody else, not so much because of a great, complicated scheme, but because of their talent was better than the other teams they faced. And maybe it's a matter of when our talent matches up with another very talented team, that's when our scheme gets exposed, maybe. That's when Todd Downing, who is a rookie offensive coordinator, maybe he gets exposed against another talented team. You know, when we're the more talented team, we can have a vanilla offense or a basic offense because we just have flat out more talent. However, when we face a talented team, maybe then we can't get away with it as much. Maybe that's what we've seen today in Denver. I thought on defense we played well. We kept ourselves in the game. Mack had 2 sacks. I believe he had 7 total tackles. I think he had 3 tackles for a loss. The cornerbacks played okay. We kept Denver in check for the most part. Again, we only lost by a touchdown. And then also, we were out Conley. He didn't play in the game because now, apparently, unlike in the preseason, now he actually has a shin splints or something's wrong with his shins. And then Emerson went out. So there you're down essentially your 2 starting cornerbacks, and we still played decent. We kept ourselves in the game, which is what your defense is supposed to do. But then you got to look at Cook. Cook dropped on the same series 2 touchdown passes in the end zone. One, actually, both of them hit him in the hands perfectly, and he dropped the ball. That's supposed to be one of our big additions in the offseason. We were supposed to be able to keep guys off of Cooper and off of Crabtree on the outside because Cook in the middle, or if they doubled up Cooper, which is what Denver did all day, then Cook was supposed to be open and supposed to make those catches. Twice in the end zone, he drops 2 crucial catches. Now, you don't know how it's going to go if he makes the catches, but we ended up losing by 6 points. If Cook makes those catches in the end zone, we're essentially up by 1 point. That was a game changer to me. That was a huge game changer. Not only he dropped 1, he dropped 2. Now, I've never played professional football. I understand that the second pass was going over the middle. He was going to get decked. But the old saying, Murph, if you're going to get hit, you might as well catch the ball.
Might as well catch the ball, absolutely.
So I don't know, man. It was a weird game. It seemed like it was slow. It was frustrating to watch. I was watching with my brother-in-law. It was just frustrating. I'm not real big on the NFL right now until I get all this stuff figured out. I don't want to watch football and have to deal with politics at the same time. Not that anybody can't be political and they shouldn't be political, but I watch sports to be entertained, and I'm not entertained right now by the big national product. The only game I watched today was the Raiders, and it was awful. Now, all this to say, Denver has a great defense. I don't think you can sit here and simply as a fan going, F Denver, we should have beat them by 50. That's unrealistic. Denver has a stout defense. I just happen to believe that our offense was going to be better than the way they played. I thought we were going to be able to establish the running game more, and we did not, frankly. I read somewhere that Marshawn Lynch, I believe, has, I don't want to get it wrong. I think I took a picture of it. Let me see. In the last 2 games, Marshawn Lynch has 30 yards on 15 carries. That's garbage. That is absolute garbage. We're not going to win any games doing that, Murph. We're just not going to win very many games doing that. Hey, there I am on the feed.
Yeah, I'm getting you back here. Keep going. We're almost all the way back. And we're looking at a nice picture. That's a nice bike. You got a nice bike hanging up in your garage there, Sonny. That's a nice bike. That's it. I might switch this over here. Look, I'll go on this side, and then you go on this side. Look at it. Look at this craziness we got going on here. This is production in real time here on Raiders Fan Radio.
Yeah. Real time production. I can move my camera.
No, you're good. You're good right there. There we go. Okay. How we go? Hey, how about that? There we go. That's not bad. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. So, what are we going to go next? What are we going to go? What are the things? The 3 reasons that we had when we talked about the game on the show, which check us out, RaidersFanRadio.com. We come out with we do a weekly podcast. I'm Murph, that's Sonny. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on the Twitter, you can find us all over social media. The Twitter. Anyway, so on show number 48, we take turns. We give 3 reasons for why the Raiders are going to win. Then we give 3 reasons why maybe possibly the other team would have a chance to win. So when we did this show, I had my 3 reasons. I got stuck with the Donkeys. For my 3 reasons for the Donkeys would have a chance to win was Jamal Charles, Von Miller, and then ultimately the secondary. Now, Von Miller made a key 3rd down sack, which was fantastic. For him.
But our guy got held. Did you see that?
Yes, he
but
sure did.
Got held.
I agree. So there was that play by Miller. Then obviously the secondary, but I don't think the secondary played as good as maybe they were quite advertised. Sonny, I don't know what you thought about that, but I would like to talk about Jamal Charles. Now, Jamal Charles got hurt and he really didn't make his way back into the game. But here's something that I think that I'm not gonna come off of this until the Raiders prove me wrong, and that is our lack of attention to inside linebacker shows up every single week, even in the 2 weeks that we won. It shows up. And when you play a team with a good running game and a good offensive line, our linebackers disappear. They completely disappear. And that's why C.J. Anderson and Jamal Charles, they were converting these key 3rd downs, and that's what kept our freaking offense off the field. So, I mean, am I crazy here, Sonny? So, I mean, those are the 3 reasons essentially came true. The 3 things that we brought up. And then even the linebacker issue is just a festering issue that's going to continue to get worse. And in the meantime, we have our 2 freaking top draft picks aren't even playing. And the guys that were drafted instead, or whatever, that could have been drafted, and Zach Cunningham and Hassan Reddick, whatever, all the linebackers, they're playing great. Reuben Foster, right? They're all playing great. And in the meantime, we don't have any interior linebackers. So 3 reasons came to fruition and still showing our lack of production at middle linebacker.
Once again, Jamal Charles, while it wasn't a 300-yard or 200-yard type performance by Jamal Charles, he beat us, man. Yep. I believe it was a 3rd down and 11. Broncos did a funky kind of screen pass where it wasn't your traditional screen pass. It was kind of like it seemed like just a half-hearted screen pass, but maybe that was by design. And they did it, and that guy ran in a straight line and got the 1st down. And I'm just like, son of a gun, man. Jamal Charles, once again, is eating our lunch. And I don't know what you could point. Maybe that's the question to ask, is if you're watching, what was the main reason why the Raiders lost this game? Was it lack of offense? Was it couldn't stop their offense? What do you think? What's the reason the Raiders lost this game? And Murph, if I just had to go off of one thing, I'm going to harp on the running game. Marshawn Lynch was brought in for this game. He was brought in for these types of games. He was brought in to help us beat the Chiefs. He was brought in to help us beat the Patriots, and he was brought in to help us beat the Broncos. And he's 0 for 1 so far. Really 0 for 2, but the Redskins game, I'm not really counting that. Against the Broncos, against the team we needed to beat that's in our division, we're 0 for 1. And I think that largely rests on Marshawn Lynch's shoulders. And the offensive line, if you want to go there too. Where was the offensive line? How come we're not able to make holes, right? We have the best offensive line in the league. Now, granted, maybe Denver is just this good. They absolutely destroyed the Cowboys, and we kept them to 16 points. So maybe Denver is just all of a sudden that much better than everybody thought, and the Raiders aren't as good as everybody thought. And I kind of want to come to that point. I think from my own head, that's what's going to help me go to sleep at night, is that in the preseason, the Raiders were picked to be the darlings. They were the NFL darlings, the up-and-comers, the Patriots dethroners, if you will, and maybe they're not that good. Maybe we have to come to the realization that the Raiders are not that good. Maybe they are, but they haven't given us anything to believe that quite yet.
Well, I think you're right in that they're not that good, but we kind of knew that though, and that's where I felt like we had to be careful coming into this off season, was that we were great offensively, but defensively we knew that we had a lot of holes. And we were all completely sold that this was the best line in all of the NFL. At least only the Cowboys maybe had a claim to that. And I feel that like once we really finally bought into that, once like Marshall Newhouse really started playing well, that we're like, okay, so last year the weak link was Austin Howard. It was right tackle. And now we brought in Marshall Newhouse. He's playing great. He hasn't given up any pressures, hasn't given up any sacks. That was the final piece, right? Now the offensive line is locked up. We are slam dunk best in the NFL. And then what happens a week later? And now what's happened 2 weeks later? Now, granted, we're playing a pretty good defense in the Broncos. You're playing against Derek Wolfe. You're playing against Von Miller. I mean, it's not like they're chumps over there, okay? So it's still pretty good. But the way that I think what's scary and what's letting us down is that the way they kind of fall apart. Like they're not cohesive. And I wonder, did Penn sitting out that time, has that messed with the chemistry of the line? Something's wrong with Carr clearly too. There's just something wrong with the overall chemistry of the team. We talk a lot about culture on our show, and there's an old saying that goes, culture eats strategy for breakfast. The culture of your organization is what propels you to success. You can't out-strategize and have the technology advances to overcome a bad culture. And right now the culture of the Raiders is becoming that real, timid.
Easy.
Hey, what? Look at Derek Carr's face, and don't tell me he doesn't look like a deer in the headlights in the game. He's coming off like this. How about here's my impression of Derek Carr. Ready? Like, what are we doing? Like, he's confused. He's looking at Downing, and he's going, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, you're not a first-year starter. This is a guy that's supposed to know this offense, hasn't had a lot of changes going on in it. He just should be really, well-versed on all this stuff, and he's confused and he's pissed off every time that he comes off the field. So I think a couple of things there. I think offensive line is clearly struggling, and then our quarterback, man, something's going on with him. I don't know what it is, but something is definitely going on. And I'm going to say this, too.
Go ahead. I want to ask a question, though. Oh, okay. So you mentioned Downing. How much of this is Downing? How much of this is your first-year guy running the offense, your first-year coordinator, offensive coordinator? How much of this is him? Now he was there. Granted, he's been there. He's helped Derek. They have a great relationship. But this is the first year of him taking the reins, calling the plays, and calling all the shots. And maybe we have to look at him and say, is he the problem? Is it just not enough time to gel yet? Is it just simply the fact that Redskins and Broncos were good and the Raiders just aren't as good as we thought they were? If you look at the stats, the box score for this game, the offensive line clearly needs to be called out. We gave up 3 sacks. 3 sacks. How many sacks did we give up last year, Murph?
1. Well, at least
now,
the one that counted. Yeah. The one that broke all our hearts and Derek Carr's leg.
Last year's not going to happen every year, right? We know that was kind of an anomaly, right? That's not going to happen again all year. Really any other year. I wonder how many times that's ever happened in the history of the NFL. But all that to say, 3 sacks in this game, and then you combine the running game, 15 carries for 24 yards. We had a 1.6 average. A 1.6 average. Now, granted, we have to couple this with the fact that Denver has a really good defense. We cannot take away from the fact that the Donkeys have a good defense. But as of right now, the Raiders are the 3rd best team in the AFC West. And I don't think anybody can argue that.
That hurts feelings. Hearing you say that like that hurts feelings.
Can you give me an objective argument as to why they're not?
No, I can't. Not right now.
You can't, man.
You can't. No, and I think what's disappointing is that, okay, if your run game is going to get bottled, and we knew going into Denver, we had to run, we had to play defense. We knew that. But there's got to be some sort of, and this is the part that I think I'm confused about Downing. I thought he was a lot more of an adaptive, creative type coach that where, what did we always accuse Musgrave of last year? Oh, he does
plain
the same
vanilla,
thing.
same thing. Yeah.
Same, right? That he doesn't take advantage of the tools that he has on the field. He's trying to shoehorn the players into his scheme instead of taking advantage of the talents that they have. And when Downing came in and the things that he said and the way the players reacted to him and all the whole messaging was Downing's going to take what these guys are good at and then he's going to put them in positions to take advantage of what it is that they're good at. Well, we're not seeing that. And I don't know if you can – I'm not going to blame this game on E.J. Manuel by any means because I thought he played pretty well.
He played great. He played great.
Right. But on the last pass, the one that's a pick, Olawale
that's Cooper's fault. I'm not putting that on
No,
E.J. Manuel.
but hold on. Listen, though. That wasn't the pass to throw, though. The pass to throw is Olawale cutting across over the middle, wide open. Wide open. Like there's nothing in front of him but a first down marker and green grass past that. Now, is that Manuel making a bad read and trying to force something to make something happen, which I don't begrudge him one bit for that. And you're right, Cooper could have done a better job of high pointing and fighting for that thing, and even he said so in the press conference. But is that part of is Downing the guy that should be telling your quarterback when he goes in, look, if Cooper's double teamed, dump it down to Olawale underneath. Look for your relief valve underneath because the relief valve is wide open. And I got to think that Derek Carr makes that throw. Or if he's made aware, right? Maybe, I don't know. But what I'm getting at though is that Olawale's been on a milk carton. And look, you see my Marcel Reese jersey right up here. I'm a fan of the fullback. I'm a fan of the playmaking fullback, and I'm a fan of the kind of guys that are matchup nightmares. That's what Cordero Patterson is. That's what Olawale is. That's what a lot of these guys. Heck, where was Washington tonight? Nowhere to be found. Richard made a couple of nice plays, but we're not taking advantage of those matchups. All the messaging that we got come in this offseason about the offense and about our offensive coordinator, I don't see it right now. Do you?
No.
And that's what I'm getting at.
No, I agree. I think at this point, it's not a knee-jerk overreaction. This is the current state of the Raiders. They are not a Super Bowl contender. If you cannot run the ball against tough opponents like the Redskins and Broncos were, you're not a Super Bowl contender because you have to run the ball against playoff caliber teams.
Or if you're not going to run the ball, then you got to be able to sling it. Like you got to do something, and that's what I'm getting at is that. Okay, look, if the run game's not working, you should have enough weapons on this team. When we look at this team on paper, there's plenty other stuff that we can do. Because when you hold the Denver Broncos to 16 points and you can't get it done, come on, man. Like that's and really, frankly, if it wasn't for freaking Riverboat Jack, they may not have even scored 10 of those points. You know what I mean? Like,
did you think his call to go for it on 4th down and 1 from the 33 awful. Was a good call?
No. You got a guy that's literally perfect on the season. Our little Dago in there, Giorgio Tavecchio, has not missed a kick yet. He hasn't missed a 50-yarder. He hasn't missed an extra point.
Why would you not let him kick it?
You're talking about going down. That could have been a 3-point game on the road. So instead of Manuel trying to force a pass downfield to try to score a touchdown to win the game, instead he's already in field goal range. What's that do to your coach? Look, I think that you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and we all loved Riverboat Jack last year. And I'm not going to back off of that just because things aren't going well now. But I think at a certain point, you've got to take points when they're available to you, right? Like you're not talking about a time in the game where it's like you have to. It was still plenty of time left. My gosh, there was plenty of time left in that game. I just thought that was a little bit premature, and I think that decision is a lot of what the Raiders are going through as an organization. And this may not make me the most popular guy out there to say this, but I think it's the honest to goodness truth. I think that the Raiders have bought into their own hype a little bit. And when you do that, especially in sports, things typically go one way for you and they go the wrong way. When you start buying into yourself and you stop focusing in on the things that got you to those points to begin with, things go the wrong way for you. This has nothing to do with politics or anything that's gone on. I'm talking about in between the lines. That's what I've been calling Kaepernick. He bought into himself. He was feeling like he was the reason for a lot of his own success and not the things that were going on around him that enabled him to those successes. I think that's exactly what the Raiders are going through. I think Jack bought into himself. I certainly think Todd Downey did. I think Reggie McKenzie certainly has. And I think that the players certainly have. When you have somebody in your ear, when it's the media or whoever else constantly telling you you're the greatest thing in the world, and then eventually you start thinking that, then you stop playing like that because you're not doing those things that got you to that level to begin with. Am I a crazy person?
Oh, I always have thought you're crazy, but okay. in regards to this topic, where's the line between buying into yourself and having confidence in yourself? I mean, you're playing at the highest level of professional sports there is. So to a certain degree, they've all bought into themselves. I think it's when they stop trying, but, we're not at the practices. We're not there before game. We don't know. All we know is what's on the field, and we're a large part making assumptions based on what's on the field. But here's the facts. They're 2-2, and they look like the third best team in the AFC West. For anybody who's a Raiders fan and you're sober and you can think objectively right now, are you going to tell me that these Raiders the past 2 weeks look better than the Chiefs or the Broncos? There's no way you could sell me on that. There's just absolutely no way.
Dude, we're going to get threat. If they play like they did today in KC, it ain't going to be 16 points. Hey, man.
No. I mean, Carr's been sacked 6 times on the year already. 6 times on the year. Marshawn Lynch for the year, 36 attempts, 139 yards. He's averaging less than 4 yards a carry. Nothing special at all. Cooper has caught 10 passes. He's been targeted 23 times.
Yeah, and then there's 7 or drops? He's got 7 on the year, right?
The last play of the game for the Raiders on offense, when Manuel went to, it was kind of the let's get it all right now. It was basically a 50-50 ball. And I don't really think, I said a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna retread a little bit. I don't think you can blame Cooper so much for that interception or Manuel, because that was a great play by the safety. If you look at those two when they jumped, I mean, that was just that guy got, and we all watched Cooper out jump 3 defenders in the preseason, right? So we know he knows at a high point of ball. The Denver safety made a great play. And this is what I want to reiterate, is that all of what we're saying needs to be balanced with Denver has a good team. But we thought we had a good team too. We thought we had an offense that couldn't be stopped. And it maybe could be slowed down here and there. Even when EJ went in, we still moved the ball. EJ threw the ball really good, right? He made
8 straight completions, man.
Yeah.
Looking like Rich Gannon out there, man.
His
dinking and dunking down the field,
his
man.
His first incomplete was the one that Cook dropped.
Yeah.
And
shame on him too. And that's the other thing too, is that like when you got somebody like Cooper that's struggling, man, pick us up. Jared Cook, that's what we brought you here for. The guy's an amazing, and he's been great. And he picked the wrong day to have a bad day. But man, that's just oh man, I'm telling you, that was a rough one, Sonny. And I think that if this were the first 2 weeks, it's almost like, okay, well, we haven't figured it out yet. We haven't. I think somebody mentioned, the team hasn't gelled yet. But I mean, we've already seen the team play fantastic. Like, we played awesome on the road. You know what I mean? We played awesome in Tennessee, week 1, hostile environment. Good. Well, at the time they laid an egg today too, but good running game. Decent defense. And we went out there and thrashed them, man. I mean, it wasn't that game was not as close as the scoreboard. And then the Jets game, forget about it. You know what I mean? That was our home opener. Beast mode's return to Oakland, all that. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. So then to have those first two games go that well and then all of a sudden fall off a cliff, I think that's the weirdest part, man. And last week we kind of pointed at their minds weren't on football coming out of the tunnel. They were thinking about the anthem and all that. But what was it today? There's no excuse today. There's no excuse. And we can't even pin it on Carr getting hurt because it was ugly way before he got hurt. So I don't know, man. It's going to be very interesting. And this right now is what's going to show how resilient this team is, because all things considered, we should destroy the Ravens. They're terrible. They're terrible. We should go and kick the crap out of the Ravens. So we will see what this team's going to do, how they're going to regroup, what the coaching staff is going to do. I mean, gosh, Sonny, where do you start, right? I mean, getting guys healthy. I mean, getting Conley, getting Crab, getting those guys back. Where's Obi Melifonwu? Where's our only hope?
The problem isn't the defense, Murph. The problem is the offense. I mean, we kept the Broncos to 16 points. Simeon, he was 16 for 26, $179, 61 completion percentage, and 1 touchdown. His rating was under 100. So, the Broncos didn't beat us offensively with their offense. I mean, we kept them in check. Anytime you hold a professional NFL team to 16 points, you should win that game, especially if you have the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL. You have a potential future Hall of Famer, Marshawn Lynch, and you have guys by the names of Cooper, Crabtree, Patterson, and Cook catching balls. You should put up more than 16 points. I don't care how good their defense is. I think the Raiders' problem over the last 2 weeks is their running game. You cannot be one-dimensional in the NFL. It just does not work. Historically, it does not work. Are there exceptions to the rule? Of course there are. But you cannot be a one-dimensional team, especially against a team like the Broncos, who have a stellar pass defense. And we have to face them one more time this year. And if we cannot establish a running game, the Raiders aren't going to do jack squat this year. I blame this loss and last week's loss solely on the offensive line and Marshawn Lynch. During the Jets, I jumped on the Marshawn Lynch train. Well,
man,
I got off at the next stop.
Next stop, Washington.
I'm not back on it yet. I'm not on the Lynch train yet because he was brought in to do what Murray couldn't do, and that was to establish a running game against the tough opponents, both in our division and hopefully potentially in the playoffs. And Denver is a playoff caliber team. The Redskins certainly looked like a playoff caliber team. We still have to face the Patriots and the Cowboys and the Chiefs twice and Denver one more time this year. Based on the last 2 weeks, we don't win any of those games if the Raiders continue to run the ball as ineffectively as they did the last 2 games. Now, am I a Raider hater? No, I'm not. I still love this team with a passion. I'll always root for them. But part of being a fan is this sucks. You have to be able to acknowledge what part of your team is not going well and vent, and that's what we're doing this show for. This is the Raiders Retort. This is our response to the game. And in games when we lose, we're going to get retorted because we're like, what the heck is happening to this team, right? We were supposed to be the Super Bowl contending team. And now we're sitting 2-2. We're scratching our heads. What's up with Lynch? What's up with the offensive line? Is Carr okay? Carr's been hit 6 times already this year. How come Cooper can't catch a ball? Why does Cook drop two passes in the end zone? There is a whole lot of questions going on right now, Murph, and it's hurting my head. Oh, let me ask you this, though.
Okay.
What'd you think of your boy Marquette King?
Oh, my gosh. That's, again, go back to what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Things, when you buy into yourself, that's when things typically start to go bad. When he made that killer, this is the thing that frustrates me most about him. He made an amazing kick. The guy is a phenomenal punter. And I love his personality. I really do. I love his antics. Except when they get in the way of the team, which is what happened today, twice. Okay, and the first time I took notice of him today was when he made that killer kick. They put the camera on him, and he kind of stopped, and he looked around to see who was watching him, and then he did his freaking pony thing. And I'm like, dude, I think that there should be a clause in celebrations that if you're losing, you're not allowed to celebrate. And I think that should be up to the coaches to implement that. If it's a scoreboard, if we're losing, don't celebrate, because as great of a play as that was, you're still losing. You're losing to the hated Denver Broncos, who you were chumming it up with on the sidelines. It may not mean as much to you as a player, but to us as fans, it hurts our freaking feelings. So knock it off. It makes you look like an idiot. All right? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing was when he threw the damn ball. This makes me so mad. A few things on this one. First off, you got jammed up on the fake, and you should be mad. but don't take it out on the freaking guy that is out there trying to make a play. And when you did take it out on him and you did decide to throw the football at him, use one hand. You threw that thing with two hands like a freaking 4-year-old. Are you kidding me? You chump. You look like a freaking dummy every time you go out there and do that idiotic stuff. Knock it off. We don't like it as fans. Save that crap for Instagram, and we'll all laugh and have a great time. But when you're in between the lines, freaking come on, man. Shows a little bit of pride in what you're doing. Quit acting like a kid. It's not, look, I'm not telling you to not have fun, but dude, like, you're losing. You're losing. You're not up 40. You're losing, and you're losing bad. You guys don't look good out there. So these antics look worse. Knock it off. Ugh. Ask me again about them. Sheesh.
I knew you. I thought of you as soon as Marquette King did that. I go, oh, Murph's about to freaking lose his top over that. That was beautiful. I want to point out a couple things. Jeff Haskins, good buddy Jeff. Jeff, you see my two flags behind me? Courtesy of DeadPirateSports.com. George writes, George Prieto, we only lost by 3 points. You guys make it look like we lost by a big humongous amount of points, but a loss is a loss. Well, at least no one backup quarterback is good under pressure. You're right, George. Actually, we lost by 6 points, not by 3, but it was the way we lost, and it was the lack of offense by this team. This team was supposed to be a highly powered offensive juggernaut, and we couldn't put up more than 16 points to beat a hated rival. And the other point, too, is that we were supposed to be the front runners. We're supposed to be the conference challengers to the Patriots. If we can't get out of our own division, if we can't win divisional games, we're not going to challenge anybody for anything anytime soon. That's why we're a little upset by it, George.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole point of this, George, is that, again, like Sonny said a minute ago, look around at our environment here. We bleed silver and black. There is nothing but absolute love from these two guys right here. I promise you that. But I think that it is important for us as fans to not be blind loyalists. And it's okay to look at a game like happened today and be pissed off about it, because we should be, because there are so many things that are correctable, and there are so many things that were a given coming into this, and those things aren't coming into fruition. You know, this isn't 2006, 2009. This isn't Aaron Brooks. This isn't Matt Flynn. This isn't, Jim Bustis. This isn't, you think about all the bad things that have happened to us since 2003. This is not one of those kind of years. Okay, this is a year where we were supposed to come in and ball out. We were supposed to come in and take control. The return to greatness. Well, we're 2-2. What did we return to so far? And the opportunities were there for us to do it. We allowed 16 points today on the road in Denver. Damn it, we should have won that football game. I don't care if we lost by 1 or lost by 20. We should have freaking won the game. And that's why we're pissed off, and that's why we're frustrated. And I'm going to root for this team to the day that I die, to the day I take my last breath. I'm going to love and support and scream for the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders or the Mars Raiders. I don't give a crap where they play. But I'm also going to look at this, and because I care so much and because I love them so much, I'm going to be bothered when they play like this. That's all.
Emiliano, and also Nick Ricci states the O-line has doomed Carr, and there's bigger problems with the O-line that they're actually mad at Carr. I know we kind of dismissed that story in previous. Do you? But I'll say why I don't. Is when Carr got hurt. Did you notice who was standing right next to him?
No.
Who was standing next to Carr when he got hurt?
I don't know.
It was Hudson.
Hudson. Okay.
It was Rodney Hudson.
Yeah.
He was right there next to his guy. So I'm not buying into that story just yet. I know one guy made it pretty popular. I forget what show it was. It was some random show, probably more obscure than ours. but
is that possible?
Yeah, I know, right? But they credited one source close to the team, But if you're not naming the source, then come on, get out of here with that crap, So while it could be true, I mean anything could be true. I'm not going to buy into it just yet until I hear from some more credible sources. The players have spoken out about it, as Grizzly pointed out. He said the locker room rumors were untrue. Yeah. I'm not going to go there. Brad Bolin, he states that Lynch apparently retired again. Rob Mix, what do you guys think about Lynch? Lee Weber, Lynch is garbage. Play better without him. I already went on my Lynch rant a couple minutes ago on the show. I agree, guys. He was brought in to win this type of game, and he's not doing it for us. He was brought in to be the difference maker in a close game. He was brought in to be that workhorse in a hostile environment. He was brought in to go against the tougher defensive lines. He was brought in when our offensive talent on the line matched up with their defensive talent on the line, and there was basically a push. He was brought in to be the difference maker, to make us better, and so far he hasn't done that. The last 2 games he's had, I think it was 15 carries for 30 yards. He's been a non-existent part of this offense in games that mattered. I don't care what he did against the Jets when we're up by 28 points. That was all cool. He got his moment. He got his let's shine in Oakland moment. But now it's, where were you in Denver? Where were you in Denver? At this point, he's done nothing to make our team better. Eric Guerrera states, Musgrave is the difference. And Eric, I guess the question is it too early to judge Downing? Philip Creans earlier stated the talent hasn't gelled as a team yet. The problem is the talent was already there. The only additions were Lynch, Crabtree, or Lynch, Patterson, and Cook. But I think Eric has a good point. And I don't know so much that Musgrave is the difference, but I think it's that Downing maybe hasn't had the time yet to see what it's like calling games as an NFL guy. As the man, you know what I'm saying?
What about Musgrave being on the other sideline today, too? You know, like,
True.
It's so, you know, I'm going to get a little historical here, but when we look back at the Raiders Super Bowl the last time in 2002 when we got destroyed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it had a lot more to do with the fact that the guy that invented the defense and the guy that invented the offense was coaching on the other sideline. Like, Bill Callahan literally didn't change terminology, and so when the Raiders were up there calling their audibles at the line of scrimmage, they were calling John Gruden's freaking audibles, and the defense knew exactly what they were doing. That's why that's why they got outplayed the way that they did. When you look at the way that offense played up until that Super Bowl, it was lights out every week until they ran into the guy that freaking invented it. Well, guess who we ran into today? It's been stated numerous times that Downing took the existing offense and changed some of a few of the words and a few of the formations around, but it was not a wide sweeping wholesale change. This is Musgrave's offense. So you don't think he was sitting in on some defensive meetings this week? You don't think that they weren't able to prepare for that? It's the guy that invented it. So I think that the Musgrave issue is twofold. I think the fact that not only was he not there, but the fact that he was on the other sideline. So now, again, I go back to my point earlier. Now we go in and play the Ravens, a weak team. Now let's see what Downing does. It's time to make money now, right? Because if he doesn't do it today, we got a losing record. Or not today, but you know what I mean. Next game, we got a losing record.
Yeah, that's the next game.
Right? Yeah.
So I guess that begs the question, did the Raiders make the right move and promote Todd at the right time? Maybe is Todd too green? Is Todd too green for the position he was called to do? Or is it simply a matter of Denver has a talented defense, they have Musgrave, it's only week 4, and Todd Downing hasn't had enough time to make the changes necessary to make the offense look different than it was when Musgrave ran it. At this point, I kind of got to think it's a little too vanilla. It's not super complicated. I loved the play that Holton got free on. Did you watch when actually Tony Romo diagnosed it beautifully, right? The guys lined up side by side. They went out. Holton was inside and then broke out. It confused the safety, and Holton broke free for the 64-yard score. That was a beautifully designed play.
Yes.
But the 4th and 1, where everybody knew Marshawn Lynch was going to get the ball, that was a stupid play call. Absolutely a dumb play call, right? And so those are the kind of things like, okay.
But was it, though? And let me ask you this, though.
Yes,
would we have, okay, but
everybody knew it was going to happen.
But if he runs a quick slant, are we all screaming, oh, you brought in Marshawn, you're supposed to run him on 4th and 1?
It depends. It depends. If they make it, I'm chanting. If they didn't make it, what play calls happen, I'm pissed. Because they should have kicked the field goal.
Oh, well, that's the real issue. That's the real issue, is that they should have kicked the gosh darn field goal, and then E.J. Manuel was driving to tie the game and not having to win the game and putting him in a tougher spot. But you're
But
right.
here's the deal.
But you're right though. Is that if you are look, what did they do? Run just like an ISO? I don't know. I didn't look at the film, but I'm sure they ran some kind of just ISO play up the middle or whatever. You could have done something a little more creative than that. You could have added in some motion and I don't know, ran a power or something to help try to get him a little bit because he's a one cut guy, right? Like that's what he's famous for. He's famous for that, making that cut in the burst, right? Like that's the way that he shoots up in there. So maybe you could have given him a better opportunity to do that. I don't know. That's better explained for guys like Ted Wynn, but I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that, Sonny. That
Here's the big question, Murph, that I think we're all wondering as Raiders fans. Preseason, we were supposed to be the Super Bowl contender out of the AFC. We were supposed to dethrone the Patriots. It's been 4 games. They haven't been easy. We're 2-2. The last 2 games, we've looked awful. We've looked pitiful the last 2 games. Now, granted, we could have won this game. It wasn't as bad as the Redskins game. But the offense, compared to what it was supposed to be, looked awful. And that's what I'm getting at. It's not so much that this game was that bad. Don't hear me wrong here. The Raiders played the Broncos close. We had a chance to win it in the fourth quarter. That's what every team wants. They want a chance to win in the fourth quarter. That's the goal. So don't get me wrong here. But the drop-off from what we looked like today to what we were supposed to look like according to everybody, including the Raiders themselves in the preseason, that drop-off is huge, Murph. That is a big gap that we're not closing anytime soon if you look at the play on the field. Grizzly states, could someone get a hold of Lester Hayes or Freddie B and see if they got any stickum laying around for Coop? Eric writes, our offense is not as good as we hoped, and we need a middle linebacker.
Yes,
and maybe that's just
Eric.
it. Maybe our offense isn't as good as we thought. Jonathan writes, coaching is the problem. It's a big problem. And I guess
this is it. See, all these things are true.
Question, yeah.
This is the problem. Is that this is not a one thing.
They don't have an identity, man.
No,
the Raiders don't have an identity right now, and that's what's frustrating. Because we thought they had an identity. We thought potent offense, mediocre defense, will win games 36-20. All right, cool. I'm cool with that.
Yep.
But we can't score 6 points to beat Denver, a crucial game we needed. It was okay to lose to the Redskins. We don't need to win that game. But division games, we have to win. And I got to say, I don't like our chances against Kansas City if we don't get our running game established. I'll go back to what I've said this whole entire show here. I think all the problems on the offense start with our inability to run the football.
I agree. That's what you got. It doesn't matter. It seems like every year in the NFL, regardless of, and there's always the exception to the rule. There was the 06 Colts, and there was the Saints, and there's a handful of others. But for the most part, after you get through the regular season, when it comes time to the postseason and it comes time to win a championship, you have to run the football and you have to play defense. Those are the 2 things that are going to win you a championship. It's most of the time. And that was the 2 things that we thought that the Raiders could blow through the regular season, scoring all these points and winning all these shootouts and doing all this big stuff. But then when it came down to it and we were those grind out type games, that's why we brought in Marshawn. That's why we brought in 24, was to come in here and to close those games out, to grind it out, to do like today when you needed a score in the fourth quarter to win the game. He would be in the backfield, picking up those 3-4 yards at a time, converting on those 3rd and 2s, doing all those kinds of things that were going to keep it close and give us a chance to, like you said, not only win, but to win, to close out games. And that we haven't seen yet. And so that's what's concerning, and that's what's got to get fixed. And listen, guys, there's so many things, and I think that's what's the frustrating part, is that there are so many things, and this felt way worse than a 6-point game. Like, I almost feel like I keep, like, as we're sitting here talking and doing the show here, I keep thinking,
it's like
are we overreacting? Like, are we kind of freaking out here? It's a 6-point game on the road in Denver. Come on, Murph. Come on, Sonny. You guys are being a little bit too harsh on them. But if you think about it, all the things all the indicators, this really doesn't look good. Like, I mean, Yeah, we can take care of the Jets, sure, but when it comes time to, like what Sonny's saying, compete with the teams that are in the upper echelon of our conference, not today, we can't. Not now. Look, the good news is, so here's the silver lining. Here's the silver and black lining. It's only the end of week 4, right? We got a long way to go, and despite the fact that we're now a couple games back in the division, we still have plenty of football left to be played. Yes, we have a tough schedule, but the Patriots are not looking as great as everybody expected they were going to be. The Cowboys are not looking as great as everybody expected they were going to be. So I think that there are plenty of opportunities for us to continue on, contend for the division late in the year, at a minimum, go in as a wild card. And it's not like we hadn't won a Super Bowl as a wild card before. So, I mean, I don't think the sky is falling by any means. And also I know this. Football, you're going to think I'm nuts here, but football is like professional wrestling. And that is in the fact that just as soon as you think you got it figured out, everything changes. Just as soon as, what were the Broncos last year? Look at the Broncos. They were like, every weekend they were on prime time with Dion and him and Talib and the 21 Club, and I'm riding with y'all, and you're going to win a championship, blah, 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 blah. 9-7, anybody? You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you think that you got it figured out, things change. So, things can change for the Raiders, and things are going to change for other teams. We've seen every single Andy Reid coach team throughout the history of his career fall off and not get it done in the postseason. So what's to lead us to think that that's all of a sudden going to change this year, that the Chiefs are going to like roll through the NFL and be a number 1 seed in the AFC and go on and win a Super Bowl? I don't know. Sure, it certainly could happen, but history tells us probably not. History tells us things are going to change. So hopefully they'll change positively for the Raiders because there is plenty of time. And then, of course, we'll see what happens to everybody else.
Let's catch up on some comments real quick here. Randy states the receivers can't catch a cold in the rain. Jonathan writes, coaching is a problem. Eric states, head coach needs to be looked at. Jeffrey's calling for Downing to go. Wow. Raider Jesse states, play calls were horrible. Slawrack states, great show, guys. Thank you, Slawrack.
Thank you.
Jonathan Jacome states, I love Carr, but he is way too athletic to be a statue in the pocket. He needs to get better pocket awareness and learn how to stretch a play and buy extra time. Do you think Carr has a statue problem?
You know what? That's something that I hadn't thought about really this year, at least, until hearing that comment. But I think that's a very valid point in that when you look at going back to what we talked about a lot last year, and some people kind of made fun of me a little bit when I said that Derek Carr at times looked like Aaron Rodgers Jr., but what I meant by that was that his mobility in the pocket and his ability to extend plays and the way that he moves his feet reminded me a lot of Aaron Rodgers. The way that when he, not when he's being Derek Happy Feet, but when he's being graceful and he's stepping up and he's moving around and he's rolling out, not, just kind of being patient, letting the play evolve, letting his receivers work open, throwing on the run, his accuracy on the run, very much reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers. And if you think about it, this year we hadn't really seen him do that a lot, except for maybe was it the Jets game, or I want to even say was it against Washington? One of the few highlights of that game, he made a nice play downfield on the run. I forget which game it was. They're starting to blend together already on me. But yes, Derek Carr absolutely is one of those guys that can make throws on the run, that can extend the pocket. Is it because he's hurt? Is it not hurt, but is it because he's still maybe mentally a little timid because of the ankle? He says not, but you never know. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I think that's a valid point. Let's say this. Is that strength of his being taken advantage of enough so far this year? Yeah, it doesn't look like it. How about that?
No, I don't think so either. Jeffrey Pavey writes, need to get rid of Lynch. He's a cancer in the locker room. Never was like that last year. Eric states we need to trade somebody. Grizzly states early in the season for sure, but no doubt these division games need to be fought hard in the trenches and won. KC isn't messing around, but Andy Reid isn't a god. Only if he's the god of the ultimate buffet at Red Lobster there. Jeffrey states we should trade Lynch and Cooper. Carr's leg isn't 100%. Russell states 2-2, relax. Next 3 are at home. Hayes writes Cooper's going to step up big time. Jeffrey States, love the show. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Let's go up to Jeff's comments about Lynch being a cancer in the locker room. Lynch wore a shirt to the game today. It said "Everybody versus Trump." While I'm definitely not a Trump apologist, that's putting your thoughts out there wearing that shirt. Also, during the game, all the Raiders stood for the anthem except for Lynch. I don't know if you caught this, Murph, or not, but there was about 7 Raiders personnel standing around Lynch trying to hide the fact that he was sitting on the bench during the anthem. Do you think Lynch is a cancer? Do you think Lynch is kind of maybe disrupting things a little bit? Maybe the Raiders were this younger, happy-go-lucky team. Lynch comes in, maybe messes with that chemistry. Do you think that's an issue?
I think he's disruptive, but I don't know if it's necessarily negative. That I think that he's, I think that he's good for the team. I think that you need guys like him. You need guys that have been there, done that, got the ring. Can bring. People don't think of him as bringing professionalism to his game, but he really does. In the fact that while he may express things about wearing a shirt or doing things like that, he really, when it comes to the team, he's laser focused. He's laser focused about his job and what the job of his team is. And so I think that you need that. And so I don't think that he's necessarily disruptive amongst the players. But here's what I will say, though. I read a very interesting comment today, and I don't remember who it was, and if you were the one that floated it out there, I believe I read it on our social media. Please take credit for it, because I thought it was at least thought-provoking. We'll say this. Marshawn Lynch was brought in to save Oakland, and he didn't save the Raiders. And I think that that's interesting, is that he's done a great job saving Oakland. He's done a phenomenal job at that. And there's no arguing the positivity and the good works that he has brought to the community in the East Bay. He does amazing things, and he's doing the Lord's work, doing a lot of the stuff that he does out there in the community. But what has he done for the Raiders? And that's where you, Sonny, I'll give you here. I'm going to point at you. Point this way. So that's where I give you kind of, you said early on that was what your take was on it in the preseason. And really in the start of the season until the Jets game. And then you were like, that's it, I'm all the way on. But now you're kind of back off again. And that's what you've kind of been saying the whole time, is that everything he's done is great for him and for the community. But what is he actually going to bring to the team? What is the tangible results that he's going to bring to the performance of the Oakland Raiders on the field for 60 minutes? What does that entail? And that's what we thought. Well, we had it figured out after 2 weeks. But now we don't. And I'm not ready to go least mode yet. I'm not ready to start throwing that hashtag out there yet. All right. But
we can go 1.1 yard per carry mode.
Come on. You got to be better than that. You know what I mean? It's got to be better than that. So, to trade him, there's no value in him. They're not going to get anything for him in value. Cooper is way too young.
A 6-rounder.
Yeah, and Cooper is way too young to even consider that yet. I mean, if this were a problem that went on for a year or two, then you could look at maybe moving him.
It's kind of been a year or two, Murph.
Well, but last year he had it figured out, and now it's back again this year. I'm thinking in terms of Denarius Moore and the patience that maybe Reggie had with Moore. That, he gave him multiple opportunities to kind of fix it. And then once he, had one too many clank off of his hands, then he was finally gone. And where did we trade him to? The Colts, I think, for a 5th or something like that?
I think that's the hot take. That's the overreaction take. It's trade Cooper, trade Lit. Yeah. We're going to trade anybody. We're going to do nothing right now. We just need to see what this team is and see if they can adjust. They're a young team. They haven't been touted as Super Bowl contenders in quite a long time. They haven't been touted as division contenders or playoff contenders in quite a long time. So a large part of this is how do they respond to this positivity that's coming their way. And we need to see what's going to happen. But so far, through 4 games, in my eyes, this is just one fan's opinion. We're not insiders or nothing, man. They're the 3rd best team in the AFC West. And until I see them beat the Broncos or the Chiefs this year, I don't care about last year, but this year, They're the third best team in the AFC West. They're not the first. They're the third. And until we can establish a running game, I don't see them doing that very easily. Carr didn't have a bad game today. Carr didn't have a very bad game at all today, right? I mean, you look at the stat-wise.
compared to the Redskins game, he didn't.
He was 10 for 18 or 11 for 18 with 143 yards and a touchdown pass. He didn't have that bad of a game.
Not bad.
Again,
yeah.
To put things in perspective, we're essentially one Jared Cook catch away from probably winning this football game, right? So, the wheels aren't falling off the wagon. We're not freaking out. We're a little frustrated, and we're a little, we thought this team was going to be better. And again, I'm not freaking out. It's not the season's over. It's just the gap between what we saw today and what we expected in the preseason is a big, big gap. And I don't know if the Raiders can come back and fill that up. Jeffrey asked, what do we think about EJ? EJ looked great today.
Great, man.
EJ looked great. And I don't know if that's credit to him or credit to the system that he stepped up. He came in, stepped up, and had a great game. I mean, he was 8 for 10, I think, or 8 for 11 with the one interception. Should have had a touchdown pass because I think he was the guy who threw it to Cook.
Yeah.
So, I thought he played well.
It was a beautiful pass, too, man. He laid that thing right in there.
Two passes that Cook should have got, right? I thought he gave us a lot more hope than the Red Rocket did or Connor Cook did last year, right?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yes. He's a solid backup, right? All this to say, again, and maybe we're running late here, it comes down to the running game, Murph. If we can't run the ball against good teams, you're not going to win. That's it. Yes, you can have a pass offense that can be pass first, run second, but even the Patriots, as great as Tom Brady is, they run the ball. They gash you, right? It's just keeping the defense off balance. If we don't run the ball, they don't have to have 6 or 7 or 8 guys in the box, and we're not going to be able to pass. We're not going to be able to pass on them because they're not committing so many people to the line of scrimmage. But if we can have an effective running game, then it takes away from them just sitting back waiting for us to pass the ball. And the Redskins did something with their zone coverage last game that the Broncos did this game, and it threw us off, man. So I don't know. It's interesting. I wish we had our identity. I wish we knew what this team was about. I don't think after 4 games we know what this team is quite yet. And it's going to be interesting moving forward. We had a couple home games coming up. Patriots game is right around the corner. It's not very far away. And it's going to be interesting to see how this team responds to adversity. I mean, the offseason had some adversity, right? We had some issues. And now in the opening 4 games, there's been kind of a lot of adversity, right? A lot of stuff outside of the team, some to do inside of the team, causing problems. Marquette King getting tackled and throws the ball at a guy. I'm sorry, man.
With 2 hands, you pansy.
I don't care how good you kick the ball. That's dumb.
You kick with 1 foot and you throw it with 2, or you throw it with 2 hands.
That's a 15-yard penalty, man. Come on. You got to be smart in that. You got to keep your head. That guy's a loose cannon waiting to happen. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. What does he say? Jeffrey states, what do you guys think of our defense today? I say they stepped up, but Sean Smith tends to get a little burnt.
Talk about your boy. All right, let's go positive. Let me stop you right there. You destroy Sean Smith on the regular, okay? On our podcast. For those of you that don't know, I'm Murph. Hold on.
What if he's listening? I don't want him to curb stomp me or something, man. I talk analytical.
Hold on, I'm trying to give us a promo. I'm Murph. That's Sonny. You can find us at RaidersFanRadio.com, and pretty much all of our social media is Raiders Fan Radio. And you can listen to us. Most importantly, please listen to our podcast. That podcast comes out once a week. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on Stitcher. You can find it on iHeartRadio. You can find it anywhere where your podcasts get caught. You can find us on any of that. So listen to us there. Now, on said podcast, my co-host, this guy right over here, Sonny, talks a lot about Sean Smith. Now, rightfully so. Sonny's opinions, although strong, are very valid about Sean Smith. Now, today...
I love Sean Smith. No,
you don't. And today...
I don't want him stopping me. Shut up. I love Sean Smith. Great guy. Great.
He doesn't know where you live. Today, Conley was out with the shin injury. Emerson goes out with a concussion. And that leaves us with one Travis Johansson Carey and your boy Sean Smith.
Travis James Carey played great.
All right, yes. Travis Jacob Carey had a great game today, and so did your guy Sean Smith. So all that said, that was an awful big setup, so I can now turn it over to Sonny. I'm going to sit back in my chair. I'm going to listen to you sing the praises of Sean Smith. Go.
Sean Smith played a great game.
Thank you very much, Sonny. Don't forget to join us. That's once a week on Raiders Fan Radio.
Oh, I thought he played great. We talked about that earlier. Minus Conley, who now has shin problems, right? Remember in the preseason he didn't have shin problems, but the now he has shin problems, right? So now he has shin problems. Amerson goes out. Once Amerson went out, weren't you like, oh crap, right?
Oh,
like I was like,
yeah.
We're
oh yeah.
And I was like, I know we're playing Simeon, right? Who's one letter shy of being what what created all of us.
Easy.
But,
Easy.
no, easy. But when Amerson went down, I was like,
you're not supposed to devolve our show into things like that.
Okay. I was like, we're screwed. But I
man.
gotta say, Carey and Travis, Jonathan Carey, and Sean Smith, they stepped up. Man.
And what about Dexter McDonald, man? Dexter McDonald looked great. Yes.
And again, it all goes back to the freaking offense, man. We only allowed them 16 points. And Travis Simeon, Trevor Simeon, whatever his dumb name is, he's playing good this year. He's not playing too bad. It's like the AFC West, all of a sudden, like, all the talent of Derek Carr got sucked out of him and put into freaking Simeon and Smith. They're lighting it up. Meanwhile, we're scratching our heads with Carr, like, what's going on with Carr, So Simeon played great. He played effectively. He didn't make any dumb mistakes. But again, our offense should be able to put up more than 16 points, man. But how cool was it? And Shane Marcel Campany, that's an interesting name. He states Johnny Holton least tried. Johnny Holton, wasn't that cool, man?
That was cool.
He's been known. He's been known to be the fastest player on the team for like 3 or 4 years, right? He's fun to play on Madden because you just run him on a 9 route and he'll catch
fast,
half the balls. But he was explosive on that 64-yarder. Not to mention he broke free, but that's a hard catch, right? That's the Willie Mays catch. That's the Dave Casper catch.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Running forward, full speed, looking behind you and catching that ball, man. That's a tough catch.
Are we going to call that the Holt to the post?
Yeah, there we go, the Holt to the post.
The Holt to the post.
And that was a dime by Carr, right? That's what we all thought we'd be seeing this year. That was a straight dime by Derek. So, it's there. It's just I was hoping it was going to be there a little more. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping it was going to be there a little more.
Hey, I got one for you.
I don't know.
I'm looking at some of the comments here. Russell, he tells us to relax for 2-2. I agree, and we've talked a lot about tonight that our negative or at least hyper reaction to this is based in a big picture, not necessarily in what's immediate here in what this game has happened. So that said, let me ask you this, Sonny. He also says next 3 are at home, and this is valid. Okay, now we said last week when we lost to Washington that if we go in and we win in Denver, the Washington loss gets erased from memory, right? Because we're keeping pace in the division. The Raiders would be 3-1, just a game back of the Chiefs, like everything would be fine. So that said, now that we unfortunately have lost, to build on Russell's point, the next 3 are at home. We have the Ravens, which is a very winnable football game. The Chargers, which is always a close game.
0-4 Chargers.
Always a close game, but a very winnable game. And then the Chiefs, which the Chiefs could potentially be the best team in football, frankly. Certainly.
Easy. What are you even a Raiders fan? Are you even a Raiders fan?
Based on record and based
best
on
team in football?
Let me finish, dude. Yeah, do you watch it? You don't. Well, if you watch more than one game a week, you would see.
Now.
Yeah, I know. See, if you would actually pay attention to the rest of the football that gets played, and not just the Raider games, you'd see that yes, they are they are definitely on the short list, and probably up there as being one of the best. Now, let me finish, please. So, if they beat potentially the best team in football, certainly the best team in the AFC, if they win those 3 in a row, including knocking them off, are we back? I mean, does the thought process then return to now the Raiders are 5-2, we've beaten the class of football, we're back, things are fine, let's keep on trucking back towards that Lombardi? Like, does all this feeling we have today, all this underbelly we feel that's been exposed, does all that get reprotected again and we just march on after these 3 weeks?
100%. Well, I'm not gonna consider the Raiders team a playoff contender, let alone Super Bowl contender, until we beat the Chiefs, Patriots, Cowboys, Broncos, or any mixture of at least 2 or 3 of those games. We have 2 games against the Chiefs, Cowboys, Patriots, right? That's 4. Then we have the Broncos one more time. That's 5. Those are the known playoff caliber potential. Chiefs, Broncos as a stretch, potential Super Bowl caliber teams left on our schedule. Until we can beat those teams, where's the stock? Where's the hope that the Raiders can do it, right? We have to prove it. We all want to believe it. We all deep down are going to say, yeah, I know. I never question them. Good for you, right? But until a team can beat those teams, until this team can beat those teams, man, we cannot talk like we've done anything yet because the Raiders haven't done jack crap yet. They had a great team last year, 12-4. We all wonder, what if? But that's over. That was last year. Year before that, nothing. Year before that, nothing. And repeat that until 2003, right? So, like, we don't have this long list of pedigree like the Patriots do to say, we're 2-2, but we're the Patriots. We've won 4 championships in 15 years. We'll be okay. We don't have the luxury to have that argument as Raiders fans. We have to go out there and earn it and prove it and back it up. Deion Sanders, after the Redskins game, stated, maybe we crowned Oakland a little too soon. And I think as Oakland fans, as Raiders fans, I think we all got a little too excited.
Ooh,
I think we all have gotten a little too excited. We're all in love with this team. We're all in love with the storyline surrounding the team, right? We all love Lynch homecoming. Derek Carr's our godly little Christian guy. Reggie McKenzie, holding it down. We all love the storylines. But until we handle business on the field, that's the ultimate proof. I don't care if all 4,000 friends on Facebook all say that they had the faith the whole entire time. Well, you also had faith in freaking Matt McGloin. What did he do for you, right?
We had faith in Aaron Brooks, too.
Yeah, right? Your hope and faith in a quarterback is irrelevant to their actual play on the field, right? And so we all hope, I obviously hope the Raiders run the table, go 14-2, and win the next 4 games on their schedule or 3 games on their schedule after that, right? We all hope that. I'm not saying I hope the Raiders are wrong. I'm just saying I need to see it on the field before I'm going to believe it. And I think if anything, what this show has made me realize is I bought into the hype before the hype was proven to be real.
Yep.
And that hype was high-powered offense, nobody can stop us, mediocre defense, we'll be okay, we'll win games 35-20, and we'll be all right. That's not the case. We beat the Jets, we beat the Titans. The Titans got killed today, and the Jets are the Jets. They beat the Jaguars today on a field goal in overtime. But I need to see something from this team before I'm going to be walking back into work going, yep, we'll be in the Super Bowl. I can't, man, because I think we're setting ourselves up for failure. It's kind of like preseason. We were talking to this hot girl on Tinder, right? And then the regular season started, and she showed up, and we're like, "Yo, that picture was from like 5 years ago. This is not the real thing, right?" It's kind of like that, right? We had all this hope. We bought into the hype. I think it's both, Eric. I think it's hype and hope. I think the Raiders were hyped up. As Raider fans, we were longing to have something to hope for after 15, 13 years of misery. We were longing for something. Finally, something showed up that we thought was going to be great, and they might be. But I need to see it first, man. We need to see it on the field first. I have to at least. I can't be I can't be out there. I'm setting myself up for failure. You know what I'm saying? I'm setting myself up.
Yeah. I don't think I'll go into a game now. Well, I'm not going to say the rest of the season, but certainly not the next handful of games with an expectation of 300 yards, 2 touchdowns to Coop, 50-50 balls at Crabtree in the end zone, like all those kinds, Marshawn for 80 yards and, a touchdown. I'm not going into it now thinking that. Now I'm going to go in expecting kind of what we got today. And, with the Chargers, we mentioned that we got the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. And then right after that, we got at Bills, which, dude, I don't know if you saw what the Bills did again today, but all of a sudden the freaking Buffalo Bills are back and playing in freaking, I don't even know what they call it now anymore. It's not Ralph Wilson Stadium anymore, but whatever they call that stadium now where the Bills play. That's going to be like a tough game, man. You're talking about going into Buffalo late October. Heck, there might be 5 feet of snow in Buffalo that time of year. You know what I mean? So, like, what do you need to go play on the East Coast when it's cold? A run game, a defense, right? Game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's.
Hey, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that's all, and then at Miami, and then you got of course the Patriots in Mexico City. So there's a lot of very, very winnable football games left. But I'm certainly not going to go in with the expectation that we did the first couple weeks where it was like, okay, how many touchdowns is Carr going to throw today? We know he's going to throw 4. I wonder to who. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the Bills are still the Bills. I'm not going to crown them anything great yet. But yeah, I agree, Murph. It's I think at this point, time will tell. I don't think we are who we thought we were, and time's going to tell. The next 3 games we're at home, in front of a rabid fan base that's craving. So, you got to think, home next week, that stadium's going to be off the hook, right? That we know.
Wouldn't you love to be there for that one?
Yes. We know
that would be a good one to be at. After
that
coming
Thursday
off
night against the Chiefs, that Thursday night against the Chiefs,
yes,
that's going to be ridiculous, especially if we can show up. If we're 4-2 at that point, and then we beat the Chiefs, go 5-2, then this is a whole different conversation, right? Whole different conversation. We bounced back. We handled adversity. We handled our business. We got mentally right. All that stuff is gonna have a full circle, right? This is a whole different conversation if we run the table the next 3 games, cap it off with a big win against the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football in front of the whole entire nation, kind of like we did last year when we were at the Broncos game, when we beat the Broncos on Sunday night, and we announced to the National Football League, Raiders are back, we can hang, and we can play in big games. Well, we thought they could. Against the Redskins, didn't do so hot. Against the Broncos, didn't do so hot. We'll have our chance again in 3 weeks. But again, we can't overlook the next 2 weeks either, right? And so, I think the theme, at least going through my mind, is we just don't know where the Raiders are at. We just don't know where the Raiders are at.
That's right.
And I think, Murph, I don't got much more to say. I'm running out of breath here. It's been an hour and a half.
Me too.
Hey, guys.
This was fun, though. Quick. This was cool for the first Raider Retort. This was cool, man. This was cool. I hope you all that have joined in, been watching us live and commenting here, I hope you've enjoyed it too. This has been a lot of fun for us. The reason that we wanted to do the Raider Retort was because we just wanted to be able to get on, win or lose, and just vent and get all this stuff out of our system, because Sonny and I, we do our weekly podcast, but there's so many times that we'll get on the phone after a Raider game, and we'll just be like screaming at each other about all the different stuff that's gone on, or we're like, texting over and over and over again, or just, for nonstop. So it was nice. We just thought we'd get on here. We'll do a Facebook Live show. We'll get all this stuff out of our system. So when we come in on Tuesday and we do our weekly podcast, we could come in nice and, what do you call it? Equalized. What's the word, Sonny? We're regulated. What else, man? We're even keel, right?
We'll have an affable take. So check us out.
Yeah.
Raiders Fan Radio, RaidersFanRadio.com is all of our website. Is our website where it has all of our podcasts, all of our pictures, all of our past guests. We'd like to interview a lot of fans within the Raider Nation. We'd like to interview a lot of booster clubs. Usually a weekly podcast is recorded Tuesday night and then dropped on Wednesday. The Wednesday podcast will go over the last week's game with a little more affable take. It's a little more balanced. It's not as hot as tonight's was. We'll preview the upcoming game. We give 3 reasons why we think the Raiders will win the upcoming game and 3 reasons why we think the Raiders might lose the upcoming game. We also do interviews, and check that out. Again, the podcast drops every Wednesday and it's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and many, many more podcast directories. And on Twitter, Facebook, Raiders Fan Radio. Friend us on Facebook, Murph, Raiders Fan Radio, or Sonny, Raiders Fan Radio. Like our fan page, which is Raiders Fan Radio. We're going to hope to do a Raiders Retort show, which will be our live show via Facebook Live every Sunday night following the game during the day on Sunday. We'll probably be around 7 o'clock Pacific time, 10 o'clock Eastern time, depending on the game and stuff like that. Appreciate everybody chiming in. This was our first time getting it to work. We tried doing this show a couple weeks ago, couldn't get the technical stuff down, got it figured out today, had over 93 comments. This show, without you guys, is just me and Murph talking, which we do all the time. So we appreciate you guys jumping in, hanging out, talking with us. And by no means is the season over. We're 2-2, doing fine. Couple things to fix. Need to find an identity. Need to establish the running game, and then we'll see what's going to happen. I thought the defense played a lot better this week than they even have in the previous weeks, so there's hope there, but time will tell. We need to establish the running game, and then I think things will be a lot different. So we hope and pray that Derek Carr is healthy. We hope and pray that Conley is healthy. Hope and pray that Obi's healthy. And, it's a long season, Murph. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. That's it. Absolutely. So thanks again. And look for us on the podcast, Raiders Fan Radio. And, go Raiders.
Go Raiders, baby.